let's talk about OU Texas for a second. Out of all, even including the game I'm going to this week, this one's the one I'm actually most fascinated to watch unfold. Oklahoma, Texas, Texas, Oklahoma, whichever direction you want to say the team's in. It is the Red River Shootout, known by no other name on this show. There is this mentality out there. You can really tell who kind of pays attention to college football and who looks at it driving by it, that Texas has this almost insurmountable hurdle in front of them this week. And then you look at the bottom of the screen and you see they've been anywhere from a 1.5-point favorite to 1.5-point dog. I know one's undefeated, one's 2 losses. Like, that's all the wallpaper. But when you tear off the wallpaper and you get into this game, I've listened to you talk a little bit this week. We've talked on the phone a little bit about it this week. It feels like you and I are sort of on the same page here. I went as far as to just pick Texas to win the game. At the very least, you vocalized on your show all week how, yes, this is going to be a struggle for Texas, but it should be a very, very tall order for the Oklahoma offense as well. So just walk folks through what you talked about all week.
I just don't know what the baseline offense is going to be for Oklahoma in this game if John Mateer doesn't go. Now, if John Mateer goes, it completely changes the dynamic of what this game is and what this game can be. I would love Oklahoma in this game if we had a 90% John Mateer that was going to play, because the ball distribution, the ability to operate the offense at a high level, none of that is a real concern anymore. Even if you lack the balance kind of that we referenced with, say, LSU a little bit earlier, Josh, you know what you're going to get in Mateer because he can just create, and he has that it factor, and he has the ability to just make things happen. I couldn't believe my eyes when I was watching Michael Hawkins Jr. last week against Kent State. It didn't look good. It looked sporadic. It looked panicked. It looked rushed. It never looked comfortable. And even if you want to say to yourself, hey, we're going to go back and throw in our Alabama game plan from last year and put that in, install that in this year, I don't feel like that's an advantageous plan against what this Texas defense brings. You're going to have Colin Simmons. You're going to have Trey Moore. You're going to have Ethan Burke. Elite and older edge defenders, outside linebackers, guys are going to be playing on the outside of the line of scrimmage that can defend those kind of things. And you have a defensive line that I think, yes, got pushed around a little bit against Florida, most of that a little bit later. I think they were worn down, but has still shown signs of life over the course of this season. An active group of linebackers that I also think works against, let's just say, playing that type of offense for an entire day. I don't know how anybody scores in this game because the Texas skill players have not been wowing anyone this year. You go back to last year, it was a screen, make a guy miss, take it for 50. It was a screen, break a tackle, go for 20. Outside zone, break a tackle, shake a safety, all of a sudden 5-yard gain turns into a 15-yard gain. You go inside zone, bounce it outside, make a guy miss, break an arm tackle, looks like a 2-yard gain, it's a 22-yard gain. Where are those this year? I have hardly seen any of those from this Texas offense. Sark's not running a different plan. Now, the offensive line can't protect. That's not a secret. You don't need me here to tell you that and be some sort of an expert to share that with people. So that limits things that you're going to do. And Arch Manning hasn't been great, but I don't think a lot of that's on him, or at least not near as much as some of the people in the media are potentially trying to portray. I think both these teams struggle. I think there could be an explosive play or two that decide this game, whether that's a DB falling down, whether it's a quarterback getting outside the pocket, scramble drill, somebody forgets to cover somebody out of the backfield, he runs down the sideline. I don't see anyone manufacturing yards or points in this game, neither side. And it's been cool talking to people who have been a part of this game. I've never been to it. You've been to it. But to hear how different and how unique it is from the noise perspective, the crowd perspective, we know it's split, but I think people forget about the age of the stadium and what it's like entering the stadium, using the same tunnel, the fact that the crowd noise never dies down. Like, I've never heard that about Georgia, Florida. Yeah. I've never heard somebody say that players struggle with this that haven't been in it because the noise never stops. Therefore, like, I talked to Chip Brown earlier this week on our show, and he said the coin toss is critical in this game. And for me, I'm not super experienced in this game. I'm thinking, okay, like, give me your little deal that you think you're trying to be cute and different than everybody else. And he goes on to make a fascinating point about how you better be going into your fans late if it's going to be a game-winning field goal or attempting to score late to try to win this football game, because if not, it's going to be a real problem. Yeah. And how much strategy goes into that part of it. So I look at this Texas team and I wonder, like, where are the Jake Majors? Where are the Jahdae Barons? Where are the Gunnar Helms? The guy who had been around, your hard hat, dirty work guys. And I know people see Jahdae Barron, they're like, He's not like some utility player, dirty work guy, but you know what? He got put in his place 2 years ago about where he was going to get drafted, essentially had to come back to try to earn his keep and get his rating back up, change his position, and goes out and does that. So, yeah, that tells me his makeup's a little bit different than the second-year five-star guy out of East Plano or whatever it is. I don't know if Texas has those experienced guys, bring your lunch pail, show up to work, want to do it any way possible. I haven't seen a lot of those guys making plays for this team this year. I feel like Oklahoma will still have a few more of those on the field than Texas will, and that experience allows the Sooners to get the win here. I'll take Oklahoma, but I think it might give Auburn, Mississippi State from 2000, whatever that was, a run for its money.
Yeah, score 3 and win. The other weird thing, I'm not sure how Florida Georgia splits it, but they may split it, down the goalposts, where one side end zone to end zone is you, the other side. This is way different here. It is a good point. I picked up on it because I've been there before, but I never thought about it from that standpoint. They split it right down the middle at the 50. So what stands out the most is depending on the end zone you're standing in, when a big play happens, and typically in this game there are a lot of them, this year may be the exception, you're either used to an immediate sledgehammer to your ears, or there's like a 3/4 second delay because it takes the sound that time to travel.
Right.
And it's really, it sticks with you. Not to mention both sides are firing some form of artillery when big plays happen. There's gun smoke all over the place. The fair food, since it's not a double-decker stadium, it's really easy for the aroma from outside to come in. Unbelievable. You guys broke down some of the new dishes they're serving at the State Fair this week on your show, by the way. I don't know if you had that one with the Fruity Pebbles and the what you not memorized this morning, but I had 30% of my caloric intake from listening to you read the menu item this morning. That's how devastating it would be.
Some kind of like a super fruity Sprite special drink, and it comes in like a big plastic boot, and Sprite. I think it's got Skittles, like gummy straws. It's just like, yeah, you can tell that was a drink that was made for the sorority girls to have a little something extra to dump in there and then head into the game.
And that's what this country's all about. That's how the founders intended it. Up in Columbia, when's the last time you went to Columbia, Missouri?
Which one? Oh, Missouri. We were there last year.
You went up there recently. Well, it's a construction site now. DeBoer is 0-1 at construction sites so far at Alabama because Vandy last year got him. So he's looking to avoid going 0-2 at construction sites. I had someone ask me with a dead serious face this morning on a certain network program, should Alabama be on upset alert here? You're looking at the bottom of the screen. That number says -3.5, not -33.5, -3.5. Not only are they on upset alert, it's not an upset, ladies and gentlemen, if Missouri just has the audacity to win a game at home here, or a pretty good team. I think my questions all week, I want to get your read on this. My questions all week have been more along the lines of what's the scalability of these different stat profiles for them once they play really, really legitimate competition. Because other than that, I mean, they've been really good running the ball. I think for all of the hype that Mekhi Hughes got when he went to Oregon, Ahmad Hardy should have gotten the hype and now is getting the hype for having gone to Missouri. But when we broke the game down Tuesday, the more you look at it, the more you realize, dude, the stuff that you would normally fear if you're Bama going to Georgia, their defensive front getting after you and you not having enough time to throw and getting behind the 8 ball early, that's actually should be your biggest fear on the road at Missouri because they're more likely to do that to you and put you in a blender than Georgia. Now, I think the common fan has to see that to believe it because Georgia's Georgia, Missouri's just Missouri. And so, hey, really quick timeout. We'll get right back to the video. Do me one favor. Make sure you're subscribed. It helps us keep the show free. It helps us keep the lights on. It helps us keep doing college football year-round, and we appreciate it. All right, back to the video. I went Bama here by the slimmest of margins, but if we were on a debate stage and it was my job to make a case for Missouri, I could really, really easily talk myself into a Missouri win here, and I could talk myself into seeing this game script, especially if Missouri starts hot, taking on the same kind of feel as Alabama FSU did, where you're just in catch-up mode all day. And so all this goodwill and these good vibes you got about Jam Miller running the ball better and, oh, man, we're not penalized as much anymore. It is such a thin ice with hot blades situation with that because it relies on everything to keep going right and execution to keep being almost flawless. And the moment it doesn't, the moment the crowbar gets thrown in the spokes a little bit, I'm interested to see how Alabama responds.
Well, some of those things that you mentioned in the past, be it Alabama or Georgia, I think they're probably the only two teams in our lifetimes that we can use these examples for. It was overwhelming blunt force trauma, and there was just nothing you could do about it. And that, I don't think that exists really with any team in college football right now. Ohio State's offensive line is probably the close I've seen to it, of just being able to do things to you that you cannot have an answer for unless you can physically match up to it. There's not a number of bodies. There's not a scheme. It's just, at the end of the day, we're going to put you on your backside, and there's not a lot that you're going to do about it, and you're going to like it by the time we get to the fourth quarter. That's not this Alabama football team. Georgia not going to be that way this year either. So I don't think Missouri, having to fear that, is going to have to go in some shell of themselves and not be able to run their offense or run their defense and not have a chance to win this football game. I'm with you. I could sit here and convince myself and you that Missouri is going to win. I think there's a really good chance Missouri wins this football game. I go back to last week, and you kind of started to hint around something that I think we are really falling for in college football, specifically in the SEC this year. Scores, final scores, are not indicative of how these games have gone. You look at Ole Miss at LSU. You look at Alabama Vanderbilt. We walked away from that thinking that was a dominant win by Alabama. That was 2 plays away from going the opposite direction. And I think Alabama's going to need similar plays, whether it's Justin Jefferson punching a ball out at the 10-yard line going in, which would have put you down 2 scores going into the half with Vanderbilt receiving the kick, or if it's Damani Jackson working through a tackle, or a tight end who was kind of pulling around to be able to make a stop on 4th and short, to be able to flip the ball back to them and not give Vanderbilt a chance to go down and make that a game late. Those are the kind of plays that Alabama's going to have to come up with, and not just on defense, because they've made those plays recently on offense as well, be it Jam Miller, Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard. Cuevas has been excellent at tight end. But Missouri will match Alabama physically in this game, and the stretch play is a booger bear. That thing is hell on wheels to defend, and Kirby Moore is going to give you every formation, every motion, every splitter, everything that you can possibly imagine coming with it. The eyes of the Alabama defense decide this game, because I think Bo Perbula at times moves the football. I think Missouri gets an explosive play or two, either from he or Ahmad Hardy. I think Alabama gets an explosive play or two in this game because the Missouri defense is very aggressive. I mean, they have a safety, number one, that wants to knock your helmet off every game. Marvin Burks wants to try to ruin you. It's what he does. It's who he is. I absolutely love it. But don't think for a second that this defensive line can't get after you. I mean, Chris McClellan, Zion Young, they understand how the physicality is supposed to work up front in this league. They're not going to get bullied for 4 quarters by this Alabama offense. So I think explosive plays and a big play or two defensively decide this game. I'm with you. I just think Ty Simpson's playing at such a high level right now. He finds a way to get this one done. But there's no way that I'll hop on my flight out of New Orleans to Charlotte on Sunday morning and be extremely surprised if Missouri were to find a way to get this one.
Last few minutes here, I tried to find a path to talk myself into Auburn getting the job done against Georgia. And I couldn't find it. And trust me, I tried, because I want to do the whole thing I did with Florida last week. A team that's in desperation mode goes into the bye, discovers themselves, the magic of self-scouting, and then you come out and you got a home game and it's charged, and you got a vulnerable Georgia team going on the road in your building. This is not some elite Georgia team, but I just kept thinking about 2 things. Number one, what is the special thing that I'm going to sort of hitch my wagon to? Because I thought Florida could do some things they just hadn't done. And then they did those things to a large enough degree against Texas. I couldn't find that with Auburn. And number 2, if we're counting on the environment to swallow Georgia up, I got respect for very few environments more than that one at night. But I watched them go into Neyland. I watched Georgia go into Neyland, 0 false starts. So I've already seen them handle the road, young team, handle the road very well. So I think you are going to have to beat them doing something better than them, and I couldn't find it with Auburn. Did you find it at all this week?
The only thing that I could find, if that were to take place, is going to be some of the inconsistencies, and let's just say a poor play that has shown up at times on the Georgia offensive line, and the Auburn front being able to take advantage of that. Guys like Kieron Crawford, Keldrick Falk, if they are in position to make massive plays, I mean game-changing plays, strip sack fumbles, hit a quarterback to where the ball is tipped up, intercepted, and even if it's not back for a touchdown, it's giving you the ball in the 28 or the 32 going in. because I'm with you. I don't see Auburn driving the football in this game. I would not be surprised, Josh, if all of a sudden Auburn decides that the neighborhood that they're going to move into is one that contains a lot more direct quarterback run, and just say, you know what, we're past the time here. The glass slipper's coming off. This is who we need to be if we're going to make our offense go. Still looking at some shot plays down the field, still running Hugh Freeze's RPO-based offense, but that's probably one of the few things that has a realistic chance to go. Here's the problem for Auburn in this game offensively. People are going to say, oh, the pressure, the offensive line. You mentioned Florida a moment ago. When Florida's offense is good, what's the foundation of it? Running the football, the zone scheme, inside, outside zone. What do they do off that? They counter off that, which is essentially looks like the zone scheme and it goes the opposite direction. Then you get a jet sweep. Then you boot DJ Lagway. The basis of this Auburn offense is the RPO. The run has to go first. And this Auburn offensive line does not appear as though it's going to be able to push this Georgia front seven around. And to further that point, I walked away from the Georgia film last week against Kentucky. I know a lot of people saw it and said, God, that was a boring game. I got nothing from that game. I was actually wowed by Georgia's defense in that game. And here's the reason why. I watched that game and I watched Kentucky have the number count in the box time after time after time. 4 in the box, 5 in the box, 5 in the box, 4 in the box, even 6 with a tight end or 2, which is still gives you the numbers game, and you should hand the football off. Now watch that offensive line work a combo. They go, oh, I got a little movement there. Oh, left guard, nice little push. Oh, right guard's pulling around and getting a kick out block. They got the numbers. Look at this. Oh, then the next thing you know, as soon as that running back got to the line of scrimmage, that number count went from 4 to 6 or 5 to 8 or 6 to 8 or 4 to 7, like that. And if the Auburn offense is going to be based on winning versus a light box with a team that can close and compress space as quickly as this Georgia defenses can, I don't see how they're going to generate enough offense to win this game.
All right, you got to catch a flight. First thing you got to do is let people know where they can find Cube Show, because the live chat is blowing up. Like, where can I get more of this guy? It's like the antithesis of what they ask you when you're in the stadium.
It is on the internet somewhere via YouTube. Maybe even if you listen to your podcasts on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, just search Cube Show. We do it every Monday. We watch all the SEC games. We tell you what we saw on film. Don't have a bias either way. We just break it down for you there, and you'll be able to hear and see exactly what I saw when I put the film on. So every Monday we come out around probably 7, 8 p.m.-ish. Even with 5 games last week, we still couldn't get it out on Sunday. Not that we want to go toe-to-toe with you anyway.
No bias. It'll never work. It will never work.
Not a single time.
Yeah. All right, bud. Travel safe. Enjoy the boot. And here's to over 20 points being scored. Fingers crossed.
In any game this week. In any game.
Bye.
See you.